Heart disease remains far and away the #1 killer. At the crux of our problem is that we've been so focused on cholesterol that we essentially ignore the rest of the picture.
For nearly 8 years, I took those statins. I had all those horrible side effects, brain fog, memory loss, muscle aches. And I realized, why do 99 out of 100 people who take statins get zero benefit? What if everything we thought we knew about statins and cholesterol and heart disease was wrong? Why am I standing in a bathroom right now talking to you? Why do I have Drano and a tape measure? Well, stay tuned because I am going to get my CAC scan done today. And by the end of this video, I'm going to share those results with you. I love analogies and I want to share one with you. And that's why I have this tape measure and this Drano. And that's why this toilet is in the video right now. Let me share an analogy with you. Right now, if you go to your doctor to get your blood work done, they're going to do a basic lipid panel. And then they're going to tell you, in most cases, you need to go on a statin. That is the same thing as you calling a plumber to your house to install a new faucet in your kitchen sink. He asks to use the restroom, and then he says, oh, wait, let me look at this. And he pulls out his tape measure, and he takes it over to the toilet, and he sticks the tape measure in the water, and he says, look at that. You have too much water in your toilet. The quantity of the water in your toilet is too high. You are at risk for a catastrophic failure. This thing may clog up and create a catastrophic failure. And therefore, this is what the solution is. Chemicals. Let's do this every single day for 30 years. Then 99 out of 100 people that do this every single day for 30 years will have no difference whatsoever. Let's take these chemicals, and you can buy these from me, by the way. They're kind of expensive. Does that sound good to you? You might say to the plumber, how often am I going to have to put these chemicals in the toilet? Every single day for years and years, decades and decades, maybe 20, 30 years. I don't want you to miss one single day or that toilet might clog up and it could be a total catastrophe. As a knowledgeable homeowner with a relatively new toilet, you might say, but my toilet has never clogged up before. Hey, Mr. Plumber, don't you have one of those camera scope things? Can't you take that camera scope and stick it down the toilet drain and investigate if there's any sort of blockages at all, or maybe the start of a blockage? Couldn't we do that? You see, my friends, in this analogy, the tape measure in the toilet is your doctor measuring your cholesterol with a basic lipid panel. They are getting the quantity of the cholesterol instead of the quality. Doesn't it make more sense to look at the quality? Now, there are some very rare good doctors out there, such as Dr. Philip Ovadia, a heart surgeon who's performed thousands of heart surgeries.
What I tell people about cholesterol, about lipids, is it's not that they're irrelevant. It's just that they're downstream from those root causes. When it comes to cholesterol, I try and get people to focus on the quality of your cholesterol, not the quantity of your cholesterol.
It's the quality of our cholesterol that matters, not the quantity. That is a quote from Dr. Ovadia. We're going to hear more from Dr. Ovadia and Dr. Chafee. But first, I wanted to mention this exciting news. I will be at Meatstock 2026 in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. It's May 2nd, May 3rd. And not only will I be there, but Dr. Ovadia, Dr. Chafee, Dr. Barry, Dr. Ben Bickman, Dr. Boz, Dr. Kiltz. An amazing lineup. I have been to many meetups and conferences all over the world. This is the ultimate conference that you want to go to. I'm so blessed and fortunate that I'm going to be there. And you can get $50 off if you order your ticket for Meatstock. Order it now. Don't wait. Everyone waits till the last minute. It will sell out. Use promo code HealingHumanity for $50 off. There is a link in the description below. Now back to today's video. Taking a tape measure and measuring the amount of water in the toilet to judge whether or not it's going to clog months or years down the road is foolish. Another option would be to stick a camera or a scope into the drain and see if there's any blockages or the start of any blockages whatsoever. That would be akin to a CAC test, coronary artery calcium scan. And that is a scan you can go in and they can actually check your arteries and see if they have any calcification, if there is anything in there that is starting to create a blockage. I'm going to go in today to get my CAC scan done. By the end of this video, I'm going to share those results. And we're also going to check in with heart surgeon Dr. Philip Ovadia and several other medical doctors to get their take on cholesterol, statins, and carnivore, and treating the root cause. By the end of this video, I'm going to share those results. But in the meantime, I want to talk about statins and cholesterol and how we've all been so misled. And I want to start with a big disclosure. I am not a doctor. I am an idiot moron homesteader that runs a YouTube channel who happened to find incredible healing through a carnivore diet. But with that disclosure said, I will also say that a real doctor prescribed me medication in my 30s, statins in particular, that I was on for roughly 8 years that caused all sorts of detrimental side effects: brain fog, memory loss, fatigue, muscle aches, so many side effects for so many years. And I truly believe with what I know now, and hopefully what we find out with my CAC scan, I may never have needed those in the first place. I want to talk a little bit about statins, why we have been so misled on statins. It's straight up false advertising. The numbers that you will hear that may be ingrained in your brain, maybe your doctor told you these numbers, maybe your doctor didn't, maybe you heard them on a TV commercial, maybe you saw them in an ad.
So I was surprised when my doctor told me I still had high cholesterol. That really hit me. You got me thinking about my health.
The stats they will give you are things like this. Without statins, 2 out of 100 people will have a heart attack. With statins, 1 out of 100 people will have a heart attack. So we are going from 2 to 1 out of 100. That is a 1% difference. But drug companies spin it another way with their creative advertising and marketing, which is straight up pretty much lying and misleading to people. They will say things like, that is a 50% reduction. Because it went from 2, that is a 50% reduction. You hear that and you're like, I should probably take these statins. I want a 50% reduction in the odds of having heart disease. But the true number is actually 1. I was on statins for nearly 8 years. I did not realize when I was taking those statins that 99 out of 100 people will have no benefit whatsoever. 50% reduction, that sounds so powerful, doesn't it? But in reality, 99 out of 100 people see no benefit at all. They still take a pill every day, often for decades, while facing brain fog, memory loss, muscle aches, and some of them are at risk to get type 2 diabetes. 99 out of 100 see zero benefit at all. Now let's dig a little bit deeper. Let's talk about cholesterol. Because maybe cholesterol isn't the enemy that it's been made out to be. A large review found that older adults with higher LDL actually live longer than those with lower LDL. Here's another shocking stat about cholesterol and heart disease. 75% of people who were hospitalized for a heart attack did not have high LDL. They had normal LDL. 75%. So why are we so worried about high cholesterol when nearly 8 out of 10 people that are hospitalized for heart disease don't even have high LDL in the first place? Doesn't make any sense. Does any of this make any sense? Prior to starting carnivore, I bought into the cholesterol fear. I ate salads for lunch, salads for dinner, low fat, lean meat, chicken breast. I avoided fatty meat. That was going to clog my arteries, or so that's what they told me. When I went carnivore and I started eating that fat again, everything changed. My sleep improved, my depression lifted, my energy came back. My testosterone has doubled on carnivore. Cholesterol is the raw material for our hormones. Our brain is made of fat. We need cholesterol to thrive. Don't just take it from me. Here's what some leading experts have to say about cholesterol and statins.
What I tell people about cholesterol, about lipids, is it's not that they're irrelevant. It's just that they're downstream from those root causes. When it comes to cholesterol, I try and get people to focus on the quality of your cholesterol, not the quantity of your cholesterol. And that cholesterol quality is affected by insulin resistance and inflammation. So that is really what the root cause that I believe we should be focused on is. And the scientific literature, the studies support this. I did a talk a number of years ago for one of the low carb meetings where I went through every paper that I could find that had a comparison of the risk associated with high cholesterol and the risk associated with insulin resistance when it came to cardiovascular disease. And in every one of those papers, the magnitude of risk associated with insulin resistance was much higher than the magnitude of risk associated with increased cholesterol. I think at the crux of our problem is that we've been so focused on cholesterol that we essentially ignore the rest of the picture. And when you take care of the insulin resistance and you take care of the inflammation, the cholesterol is probably no longer an issue. So that's kind of how I think about heart disease these days and how I talk to patients about heart disease.
So if we really simplify it, it's from eating processed foods and sugar and things that we weren't intended to that causes the inflammation and insulin resistance for the most part?
Yeah, that's certainly a major factor. There are other lifestyle factors, things like smoking, which certainly contribute to inflammation. But the primary driver of insulin resistance certainly seems to be ultra-processed food, which includes sugar and highly refined carbohydrates, and also includes processed oils, vegetable seed oils, that both independently and certainly combined can really wreak havoc on the development of insulin resistance.
If heart disease is going up because we have poor metabolic health, inflammation, insulin resistance, then prior to this, like 1800s or something, wouldn't we have had much less heart disease, heart attacks, things like that? Is there any stats or data on any of that?
Yeah, there's very good statistics on this. So, we first can go back to sort of, the leading physicians of the late 1800s, and some of them published sort of their life experience. And you see very little, if any, mention of heart disease in what they were treating.
Statins are the most lucrative pharmaceutical that's ever been put on the market.
The harm that statins cause, increased risk for diabetes, increased risk for cognitive decline.
And so they are definitely not going to let go of that cash cow very easily. And because people are on it for decades, and they're telling people now, well, atherosclerosis starts in your teenage years. So really like in your 20s, you should be on a statin. You should just be on this for the rest of your life to try to protect you from this. That's garbage. They just want everyone to be addicted to their drugs.
Talking about statins, and the researchers wanted to know, how much longer do the statin takers extend their lives? Was it months, years, decades, So they had this study. It involved 92,135 patients. And so they wanted to know, how much longer, and the results were shocking. What they found, they had two groups. They found that those in the group taking statins for primary prevention, in other words, no heart attack yet, they lived a big 3 days longer than those in the other group not taking a statin. People taking statins for secondary prevention, in other words, they already had a heart attack, they lived a big 4 days.
Was an absolute risk reduction of 1.1%. If I could explain this to someone, the patient may say, I'll take my test.
Hey, it's cardiologist Dr. Jack Wolfson here, and I want to tell you why I never prescribe statin drugs. It's because they don't work, and they have tremendous side effects. Here's why they don't work. For primary prevention, meaning you've never had a heart attack, stroke, or stent or bypass surgery, there is very, very little benefit. In fact, recent studies like the Cochrane review from 2022 showed that 1 out of 1,000 people's lives are potentially saved with statin drugs if you take it every single day for 10 years, which means 999 people take statin drugs every single day for 10 years in order to save one life. That is a joke. Now, if you have more risk factors, if you have things like diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity, very high abnormal lipid levels, lots of inflammation, the data gets better. But it's still not great. Even in a best case scenario, you get 1 out of 100 people getting a mortality benefit after taking the drug for several years. 1 out of 100, which means 99 people get no benefit.
Today's video is proudly brought to you by Compassionate Carnivore Store.
This is our Compassionate Carnivore Tallow that my sister Katie and I make. The vanilla one is my absolute favorite. The unscented one I slather on my face before I go to bed, and I wake up and my skin's glowing and clear.
I put it in my hair is getting darker, thicker, and healthier. And it makes perfect sense because this is a natural product with all sorts of vitamins. And before that, what was I doing? I was putting mousse or gel in my hair that had all sorts of chemicals and detergents. This is natural, this is clean. I've heard many people say the same thing. Look at my hair. It's literally getting darker because of this stuff. Special link in the description below. Plus you can support a carnivore young entrepreneur, Katie and Emma's business.
And you're supporting a local farm too.
You know, at the time, 25 years ago, I think 99% of doctors knew that Atkins diet would kill you and cause heart disease. And in short, over the last 25 years, we started doing clinical research, and it's the opposite. It's actually a very good way to reverse diabetes. It's not fat in the food that causes heart disease. Cholesterol is not as important as everyone. So it's been a very interesting journey.
They found no association between increased levels of saturated fat and heart disease. None. And they said there is no reason to have any upper limit or recommendation on the maximum amount of saturated fat to eat. There is none. There's tons of civilizations around the world that have no heart disease and eat extremely high saturated fat. Maasai eat very heavily, fat and animal-based meat and dairy. The Inuit just eat blubber, and when you're looking at people that are eating that way, you see very low levels of heart disease as well.
Now I realize for nearly 8 years, I took those statins. I had all those horrible side effects, brain fog, memory loss, muscle aches. And I realized all of those were given to me by my doctor based on the quantity of my cholesterol from a basic lipid panel. Why did we not do an advanced lipid panel to look at the quality of the cholesterol? Why didn't I do a CAC scan? I had no idea a CAC scan was so accessible. When I did the CAC scan that I'm going to share the results for in this video, it was me Googling CAC scan near me. I found a location that I didn't need a doctor's order. I didn't need anything. I just called them up. I made an appointment. It was out of pocket. It cost me $50. I was in and out of there in about 5 minutes. It was a simple procedure. And a couple days later, they emailed me the results on my chart. So without further ado, what were my results? Big fat 0, which I am happy about, but then I'm also extremely angry about, because $50 and 5 minutes of my time versus nearly 8 years suffering on statins. Had I taken a CAC scan before embarking on an 8-year-long journey of taking statins with all sorts of brain fog and all sorts of memory loss and muscle aches, I would have just done the CAC scan initially, seen a big fat 0 and said, I'm good, thank you. The 99 out of 100 people that are completely unaffected by statins, probably one of them would have been me anyhow. So for a 1 out of 100 chance to potentially not have a heart attack while having all of these adverse side effects, while knowing my CAC scan is 0, in other words, if we go back to the toilet analogy, we stuck a camera down the drain and there was 0 blockage. It was a perfectly clean set of pipes. There was no risk for cloggage. I would have just done the CAC scan in the first place, and then maybe every couple of years get another CAC scan to keep an eye on it, or do another advanced lipid panel to see the quality of my cholesterol. It is absolutely insane to me that people are put on these statins for years and years and decades and decades. I'm a young man. I'm just barely 45 years old. And in my 30s, for nearly 8 years, I was taking these statins. And I've already listed the side effects, and we'll never know what were the other side effects. What are the other unintended consequences? Maybe that knocked a couple of years off my life. We don't know. I was on so much other useless medication that didn't do anything for me, but we'll never know. But doesn't it make so much more logical sense to take a camera, scope the drain, before putting someone on medication? Or does it seem more logical that we're going to take Drano and we're going to put it in the toilet every single day as a preventative measure, just in case maybe 20 years from now, the toilet may clog up? Doesn't make any sense. Before we wrap this up, I just want to talk about one other thing. Why don't we talk about the real root cause of most heart disease? Inflammation and insulin resistance. Blood vessels become damaged, I believe, from chronic inflammation from the foods we're eating. Sugar, carbs, seed oils, science experiments that we were never intended to eat. They damage our blood vessels. The cholesterol goes there to repair it, and the cholesterol gets the blame. I heard someone say this. I want to know if it's true. And what they said was, if you imagine in the United States, there were about 350,000 house fires last year. And if you look at that data, in almost every instance, firemen showed up. And so if you look at that data, you could come to the conclusion, firemen cause house fires. And this analogy the person was making was saying it's kind of similar with cholesterol. If you look when someone has heart disease, you see cholesterol there. The cholesterol is getting blamed for the heart disease, but in reality, the cholesterol may be going there to heal inflammation or something else. Is that a fair analogy?
Yeah, it definitely is. You know, cholesterol is basically the body's repair mechanism for the damage that's being done to our blood vessels. And that damage is from inflammation and insulin resistance. And the problem becomes that if you keep doing the damage, and especially if the cholesterol itself is damaged, which is one of the effects from insulin resistance, that's when we start to see this plaque buildup, this atherosclerosis that, leads to heart disease and leads to people having heart attacks. I think that is a very fair analogy, that the cholesterol is getting blamed, but it wasn't the cholesterol that started the problem. And that's why we go back to insulin resistance and inflammation, because if you take that out of the picture, no one has ever demonstrated, that cholesterol in the blood can just spontaneously start to form plaque. You have to have damage to the blood vessel first. And that is what allows this cholesterol to then start to come into the blood vessel wall and start to build up in these plaques. So if you eliminate the insulin resistance, you eliminate the inflammation, you can effectively mitigate the heart disease risk.
I truly believe from my heart that I was deficient in cholesterol. When I started carnivore and I started eating fatty meat, beef, butter, bacon, eggs, my cholesterol surely went up. Everything else improved. My sleep improved. My hormones improved. My immune system got stronger. My depression lifted. My testosterone on carnivore has doubled. All of those things that I just listed are related to hormones. Our hormones need cholesterol. And humans have been eating meat since the start of time for as long as we've been breathing air and drinking water. It is a science experiment. It is the biggest fad diet of all time, the standard American diet that we've been doing, where we're demonizing fat. And it's only over this little short window of time in the grand scheme of humanity, just this little bitty bit of time right here, my fingernail, that we've been eating the standard American diet and we've been demonizing meat. And we see heart disease as the #1 killer, absolutely rampant right now. It is 100% in my mind from the standard American diet, from people being chronically inflamed, from eating foods they shouldn't be eating, and we're blaming the cholesterol. And one way you can prove this is, I'm just an anecdote, don't listen to me. Look at India. India is mostly vegetarian. And if you look at what's going on, they have an epidemic of fertility issues, depression, all things related to hormones. It's an epidemic going on over there right now. And they have probably the lowest cholesterol. They're eating the lowest amount of saturated fats. And fertility issues in the ground, depression through the roof. It is an epidemic going over there right now. Makes perfect sense. So what does all of this mean for you? Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving you medical advice. I would urge you, though, If your doctor's trying to put you on a statin, you have to be an advocate. You have to take your life into your own two hands. You have to be the captain of your own ship. Do some more research. Be an advocate. Ask for more. The first thing I would say is, why are we doing just a basic lipid panel and looking at the quantity of the cholesterol? Doctor, why don't we take a deeper dive and look at the quality? Could you please order me an advanced lipid panel? That would be my first question. The second question after that is, why are we so worried that my arteries are calcified and clogged? Why don't we actually just take a look? It only costs $50. Out of pocket, you can do it yourself. Go get yourself a CAC scan, see what your score is, and take that to your doctor. Arm yourself with the proper knowledge. Don't take a tape measure and measure the water in your toilet and say, well, therefore, we got to pour chemicals in this bad boy every single day for 30 years, because you know that's foolish. And that is just as foolish as looking at the total cholesterol on a basic lipid panel and then making these long-term medical decisions and commitments for years and years and decades for little to no benefit. If this video opened your eyes and helped you, please share. I would say I worked on this video for 8 years because I was the science experiment. I took those statins for nearly 8 years and I suffered. If you think this video will help someone, please share it, send it to a friend, post it on Facebook, hit the little thumbs up, and leave a comment down below. Are you pro statins, or do you think they're doing more harm than they are helping? Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to learn more about me, I'm filming a documentary called Healing Humanity. We've filmed 60 interviews all over the planet of people who have found incredible, miraculous healing by simply doing one thing: changing their diet. By stopping the standard American diet and poisoning themselves and eating a proper human diet, and these people are healing from incredible health issues. I just interviewed a woman that overcame MS, and it's literally in her scans and medical records. Lesions going away, eating a carnivore diet. People with advanced mental health issues, horrible depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, reversing it, eating a carnivore diet. It's incredible. I have talked to so many people that have easily reversed their type 2 diabetes. Easily reversed it. In fact, they're mad. You mean it was this easy? I could have just reversed my type 2 diabetes. Because you know why they're mad? Because their doctors told them, we don't know. It's a fluke. It's genetics. It's just you. And you could take this insulin, but that's all you can do. Because most doctors are not treating the root cause of the problem. And in our documentary, Healing Humanity, we have 9 doctors and experts who have decided to do things differently. They are what I like to call positive deviants. There are millions of doctors in the world right now, and almost all of them are failing. They are not healing their patients. They are not treating the root cause of the problem. They are only giving them medications to try to treat the symptoms. They aren't treating the root cause. And people are getting sicker and sicker, and people are getting sick of it. The doctors and experts in our documentary, they have found a better way. They are treating the root cause and are having miraculous results. People saying, Dr. Barry, you saved my life. Over and over and over again. These are the voices we need to celebrate, and that's what we're doing in this documentary. We're celebrating the good doctors and the individuals. Our documentary is all about individuals' stories of healing. If you want to learn more, you can watch our new trailer.
When I walk into a grocery store and see thousands of items on the shelf, that does not register in my brain as food. And of course it's not. This has never been food to any human being for the entirety of human history.
We've been soaking up the wrong information for so long.
Everything I thought I knew about nutrition turned out to be wrong. And it doesn't take that long to figure it out if you look at the actual science.
Your body, even though you feel like it betrayed you years ago, you actually betrayed it.
I was following the rules and getting sicker for it.
I was hopeless. I was really hopeless, and I thought, yeah, this is the way it's gonna be.
I don't think I would have made it. I honestly don't. I mean, I was 69 pounds, almost hooked up to a feeding tube.
I probably had 30 days left until I was dead.
My thought was, I'm gonna die, and I'm not gonna have a chance to tell everybody that I love them one last time.
It's just more pills and more pills and more pills and more sickness and more disease.
I look at people now on the street and I see them not doing well, and I just wonder, what the food that they're eating is doing to them.
We're learning from our past way of eating that somehow we're damaged and diseased.
I want to live in a world where every doctor is not managing disease, but trying to get to the root cause of why people are sick in the first place.
That's what being a doctor's all about, isn't it? Being able to take somebody who's got no hope and give them hope. And it's a real hope. It's a true hope. It's not a false hope. I'm not interested in any other profession. There you go, right in my face. Perfect.
I just remember being so excited about being alive again.
Changing my diet, like, absolutely saved my life.
Plain and simple, I would not be here today.
I have my life back.
It was like with a new lens, you know, new eyes, was using them for the first time.
Even though I'm 5.5 years in, I still wake up feeling impressed.
I felt the best I ever felt in my life.
I never thought I'd have a life. I really thought my life was over. And if I hadn't have found this lifestyle, that I would not be sitting here with you today. No way.
I'm 82 years old, which is just a chronological number.
Pull yourself up, you swing your leg over and you're over.
It's not healthcare, it's sick care. We don't need doctors if we're eating properly. We don't need medication.
You can watch our new trailer at healinghumanity.movie, and you could sign up for a free newsletter. Our documentary is almost finished. If you want more details on it, visit healinghumanity.movie. Thank you so much for watching. Beep.
Guess what? My CAC score, my cardiac calcium score, went from, I've had 3 of these done, went from 168 down to 33, and then 0.
Thank you so much for watching. You don't want to miss this video next in the corner of the screen, where Dr. Ovadia, heart surgeon, goes deeper into the root causes of heart disease. Thank you so much for watching. Beep.